people can see and hear me. I'm not sure if that's the case. So whoever's in first, throw me a 5x5. Let me know you can hear me. The more I hear about the response in North Carolina, the more of a disaster this looks like. I can't even fathom what a hot mess that is. The footage of the helicopter flying so low over the relief center that it basically blew everything around, flipped the tents over. People actually got hit by debris and had minor injuries on the ground. Like, what idiot pilot did that? Now, that was not a U.S. Army helo, because if it was, it would have said United States Army on it. So the sheriff and the state police do not know whose helicopter that was, which blows my mind that a helo was allowed to fly that low. So for those of you unfamiliar, I'm actually going through FAA training right now to become a pilot, formally be a pilot. Hey, Dan. Hey, KP. And over a disaster area, they will issue something called a TFR. That is a temporary flight restriction. And what that means is basically exactly what it says. It is a flight restriction. Now, as a drone operator, I can operate under a TFR, but I need to check with either ATC, air traffic control, or the nearest tower, or I have to email or call in. Hey, Loretta, call the FAA and say, hey, I'm operating in the TFR area, in the restricted area, and I'm doing the following. For instance, I'm assisting the local sheriff in search and rescue. Then they will issue me my parameters. They'll tell me, okay, you cannot fly over 150 feet with your drone because, you are, there's helicopters in the area and you're going to crash into them. And you can only operate in these quadrants on the map. And then that gives me my flight orders. And then I get clearance from the FAA or from the air traffic controller. And with endorsement from the sheriff or the fire department, I then execute my drone mission. What you don't do is you fly a fucking drone over people's heads in an emergency area, unless it's unavoidable. For instance, I'm taking a video of an area that's been damaged and I find a survivor. Well, I didn't expect the survivor to be there. I was doing a survey and there was a human appeared where it wasn't supposed to. So at which point I would then take video or photos of the survivors, and then I would report back and I would stop my mission, right? My drone flight would end due to the fact that I found something has changed. There is an emergency situation. Hey, preparedness headquarters, what's going on? Formerly Heroic Prepper. So the fact that a Black Hawk, of all things, flew 100 feet over a staging area and flipped all the tents over, surely that pilot could see that the tents were flipping over. Tents 10 by 10, 20 by 20. Like, how the hell did he not see that? That just pisses me off. And the fact that the state police do not know who the hell that was, what the hell is that? Hey, buenos dias, Deuce. How's it going? Hey, Dan. Hey, Gerald. There's something very wrong here. It almost seems like they're trying to impede the local response from doing what they need to do. Now, as you know, I don't know if you've heard, but Governor DeSantis has officially declared a state of emergency in Florida. That's a good move. That means that he can now spin up all his assets, make his requests to the feds for whatever good they do, at least get funding from the feds. That they can do. They can send money, well, in theory, unless they're broke again. But that gives DeSantis 4 to 5 days to call up his National Guard. Hey, Joe, get the people on the road and get them and get them mobilized, you know, because people think the National Guard's like a button you push and the guardsmen appear. Guardsmen are like all of us, right? They have jobs and families. So we get a call, unless they're in a QRF, a quick reaction force. I'm going to say quick response, but it's quick reaction team, or QRT. It takes about a week to 2 weeks to properly mobilize a large guard unit, right? Because they have to do their checks. They don't want to go out half-cocked, and then they have vehicles break down, and now they add to the problem. So DeSantis is doing a good thing. I don't think North Carolina expected the landslides at all, because it's been almost a generation or more since they've had that serious a set of flooding. And hey, Farmer, what's going on? Hey, Neil. Hey, Loretta. Yeah, stay safe, Joe. So it's I think DeSantis is trying to get his ducks in a row in advance. I think that's the best he can do. They don't know where the storm's going to go, how big it is. But he's at least mobilizing now. All the guardsmen have been notified. Hey, JRC, that, hey, you may be getting called up, which gives them a chance to get their ducks in a row with their families. So he's doing it right. For Harvey, the governor of Texas did the same thing. 5 days before the storm hit, he knew it was going to hit Texas. We just didn't know where. He declared a state of emergency across all the coastal counties. And that enabled money to get freed, equipment to get freed up. They started mobilizing. We were ready for Harvey, as bad as it was and a big a mess as it was. We had shelter locations that were shelters, and people came to them, and then the shelters started getting flooded. So we had to evacuate shelters to go to other locations to create a new shelter, which you can't predict, right? But all the people were ready. They knew the process. Florida's trying to do the same. North Carolina's a hot mess, and I don't think it's their fault. I think they prepared the way they thought they should, and this just came in so bad. I mean, have you guys seen the video of the landslides? My God, the mud's coming down about 6 feet high and moving. It's got to be 30 miles an hour. There's no way to run away from that at all. You're absolutely going to get hit with mud and carried away. Now they've got another problem, is they've got a bunch of pets that have been brought to the shelter by volunteers and locals. And unfortunately, they can't get a hold of the humans that own the pets. Like, the pets have chips and they have their tags. And really, I park all the way by myself in the parking lot, and like, this lady has to drive right near my truck. Like, there's no one near me for a while. Anyway, hey, Amazing Grace, how are you? There was going down, and did a Pelosi. JLO investigates the Tampa showing FEMA. See, and the FEMA folks we dealt with during Harvey and during Ike, they got called in early. The people on the ground tried to do, the right things. Everyone kind of knew their job, because Texas gets hit with a hurricane every other year. Second Amendment right can't be taken away. So, Farmer, Texas has already passed that law. Actually, so did Louisiana after Katrina, where they went door to door and confiscated people's firearms, but they lived in the house. It's like, this is my home. The guy had a driver's license. They're like, we have to take your guns. And so people were lying, right? They're like, oh, here's my symbolic pistol. And then they had the 12 gauge hidden in the closet. That's banned. If anything, actually, now it's the other way around. If you are a licensed concealed carry person in Texas, the sheriff may request that you come and be deputized to assist him in maintaining order. So literally a militia, he will call the lawful members of communities to come out and assist in the protection of the community. So, I think it's these guys. That truck looks like an accident waiting to happen. I'm going to go move over here, because apparently I attract other vehicles. But yeah, I don't think they are. Harris is now a major mining stockholder in the very region of lithium. Yeah. So it makes you wonder what the hell's going on. Who was the Blackhawk that fucked up the staging area? I mean, it's all over social media at this point on TikTok and X. It's all over. I've yet to see it on YouTube. I posted it this morning. But even a drone pilot, a 5-pound drone, I cannot fly over people unless I get a waiver. And this jackass in a Blackhawk is 100 feet off the deck and prop washed an entire location with the sheriff's deputy standing on a pickup truck, waving at the pilot to go away. Like, I don't know what level of stupid, like this whole, I get that the disaster was worse than North Carolina expected. I think the local agencies are doing the best they can. The federal response seems like garbage. There are no statements, there are no hearings, they're not having, announcements of where anything is. Uh, again, I have family out there, one of whom's a firefighter, and he said it's a hot mess. And they're not even in the flooded area. He's like an hour to the east. And he's like, yeah, it's a mess. We've got people, evacuees coming into town. They're sleeping in the park because they don't know where to put them. So now the cops are trying to herd all the people to go to certain areas. So, because he said, we don't want them out in the elements because we're expecting other storms, which is not going to help. And we don't want people getting hit by lightning in the park, which makes sense. What a mess. So get to know, we had another bailout less than a mile from us this time. One got away. Geez. Surviving End Times showed the Blackhawk. Okay. Yeah, what a dumbass. Like, that pissed me off. And I'm a drone pilot. I wouldn't do that unless I absolutely, somebody said, okay, you need to come and take footage of over these people. You don't do that with a freaking drone, much less a helicopter. And there wasn't a designated landing area, so they don't know what he was trying to do. Maybe he was confused. He thought he was supposed to land there, but the fact that he didn't back off right away and instead he kept making circles and made a mess, like, what the hell? What an idiot. Gerald, I would not have believed that during Hurricane Harvey, but now seeing this, I can't compute it. We had dozens of helicopters in and out of Bush Airport doing medevacs. They were everywhere. The Coast Guard, the National Guard, private pilots that got sworn in, the local agencies, and nobody did this. Everyone was squared away. Air traffic control was absolutely on their game. And this Yutz, I don't know. Hey, Yard Dog. Oh, that's good to know. Yard Dog says if you haven't registered to vote in Georgia, today is the last day. Just a reminder. Yeah, the helicopter pilot did it on purpose. Either that or he's a complete moron, or someone gave him orders to hover at that. In other words, someone somewhere decided that was what needed to be done, which was detrimental. So the North Carolina State Police just put out an alert that any federal employees who impede the state response will be subject to arrest. And they now have a standing affidavit signed by the Attorney General of the state. So we'll see how that goes. This would not be the first time the states have arrested federal employees. But yeah, I know Florida will arrest the damn federal employees because they like that. Texas does too. Tennessee tasered the damn ATF guy, which I thought was awesome. He broke the law. Like, the ATF guy thought because he had a badge, he could do the wrong thing. And the uniformed officer gave him an order and he did not comply. So he got the electric fund and wound up on his ass. And then he got arrested. And they made the director of ATF for the region come and get him out, which is what he gets, Hey, Watchman. The water will come up over Babylon. Yeah. Hey, Coffee, what's going on? Hey, Tiger. So, what do we take away from this? So, first of all, there's a lot of incompetence. Uh, the response for the hurricanes in Florida last year and Harvey in 2018 were very well done considering the scope. And there's always unpredictable things that happen, but the scope and size. This situation in North Carolina was way worse than it should have been. And there was no way of predicting the landslides like that. Even if the geologists kind of had an inkling, you really don't know. Um, I think it's horrendous, and the feds just seem inept. Like this is couldn't find it from a transponder signal or aviation marking. So Dan, the aviation markings, they could see, but they couldn't make it out because it was like black on black coloring. But it was not an Army, because Army would have had very clear markings unless they're in a combat zone. It wasn't law enforcement. It wasn't news, because news are painted bright colors. And it should have had a transponder going. Hey, Watchman. So I don't know. That kind of sucked. But anyway, this is a lesson for all of us, right? Even if they come to help, they may either be incompetent or idiots, or they may be ill-intentioned. So, I actually pulled my get home bag out of my truck. It's now in my garage, which now I'm driving to work, which probably was stupid. But I'm going to repack the thing. Like I'm actually rethinking the whole way I've been doing things. Because my get home bag is my bug out bag. They have to be one and the same because of my travel. Hey, Virginia Recycler, what's going on? It's just a lot. Those of you in Florida who may be in this next storm, if you have you need updates and you can't get them, you can post it on your community page and tag me. If you can email me and say, hey, I tagged you on a post so I can go look at the post, because I don't get notifications for, if you tag me in a community post on YouTube, I don't see it. It doesn't notify me. I have to go look for it. Let me know and I'll be happy to share. If you have a video with an update, you want to spread the word, let me know. Tag me, email me, text me, whatever. If you want to tag me on Instagram and say, hey, go to YouTube and go look at this, I can do that. And I'll share out any video. Yeah, JRC, absolutely. Pray, yeah, plan, prep. I'm going to redo my get home bag in my truck. I took the get home bag from my son's old car when he deployed, because he said, I'm not coming home. And he wound up in Hawaii anyway. And the backpack looks cool, but it feels like crap when I walk with it. So that's not suitable. I have another bag that I've been holding on to that's empty right now. So I'm going to repack that and do it a little bit differently based on what I'm seeing. But you definitely want to factor in things like weather during an SHTF. Good work boots, steel-toed boots, waterproof boots if you got them. PPE, I can't emphasize that enough. You look at what's happening in North Carolina right now with all the debris, the broken glass, the metal. People are getting cut. They're getting hurt because they're stepping on things. Having a good set of work gloves. It's a good set of work gloves, safety glasses, hard hat. This is a case where you may want a mask to either mitigate the smell or keep the bigger debris out. An N95 mask may not have been great for the Rona, but it will work in like debris conditions, sheetrock, stuff like that. You could put a little bit of a Vicks or some kind of mint in it to prevent smells, especially if you're by dead animals or dead people, sadly. been an area water table is 10 feet above sea level with this hurricane coming. Yeah, Watchman, the dude, that's a good point. Yeah, I wouldn't be there either. Uh, Oil platforms will probably be shutting down. I worked offshore for years, and once the hurricane's identified and its path is agreed upon, the non-essential people, all the contractors, the temporary people are gone. And basically it's the rig crew. So the floating platforms have an actual crew like a ship. Then there's the rig, the drilling rig crew. So you have two crews. You have the ship crew for the platform, and then the drilling rig crew. If they're drilling a well, they're going to close it in. They're going to set a plug temporarily, and they're going to fill it with what they call drilling mud. It's a heavy fluid to prevent pressure from coming out. They're going to close the valves at surface, and they're going to disconnect from what's below. Yeah, Vicks Vapor Rub. Yeah, but surprised it's not a spaghetti model showing a north turn. Yeah, interesting. You know, Farmer, I've been wondering about that. If they're trying to impede these states from voting, somebody put a video of a NOAA plane that was flying around the hurricane, and every time it flew around the hurricane, it changed direction. And I don't know if it was a storm chaser. I don't know if it did something. Because cloud seeding is absolutely a real thing. Dubai does that all the time. But interesting. In any case, make sure you have the drilling rigs will shut down. They'll send non-essential now. They will fly out. They'll stop helicopters from going in and out with crew members 48 hours before the storm. And then other than essential personnel, the floating rigs have a crew. They may try to float away or be towed away, or they may abandon entirely, shut it down, and it goes where it goes, and they'll go find it later. The platforms, they will shut everything in and subsurface, and then the crews will bail. They'll fly out, and then the last boats will be 12 to 24 hours before, and they might get a boat out 6 hours beforehand. That's it. It's shut down. So, hey, Abby on Rumble, good to see you. I offered safe haven to family and friends in Florida. Yeah. If you have friends, family who may need help, I got a coworker who's leaving West Texas. He rotates 3 weeks in and 1 week off, or 2 and 2. I don't remember his schedule. He's flying home, and I told him, get ready for the storm. This is going to be a freaking bear. And he's like, yeah, he's not a prepper. Like, he's gone through hurricanes before, so he gets it. But he said, yeah, I'm kind of freaking out about this one. So, which is good, but don't panic. He needs to plan it out. But he definitely needs to get his ass home for the hurricane. Don't leave the wife and kids by themselves and you're stuck out here. Get your ass home. But yeah, personal protective equipment, hard hat, steel-toed boots, gloves, masks. Definitely a good idea in these hurricane situations. And yeah, Redacted has been really on their game. I'm surprised Redacted hasn't gotten the kibosh, because they've been poking the bear a lot lately. But folks, pay attention to what's going on. And if you are in the path of the hurricane or potentially in that cone, get your final preps done now and make your decision to stay or leave sooner than later. You don't want to be evacuating 12 hours before the storm, because you're going to get caught on the highway in the storm. And that's worse. I'd rather be in my house in a storm than in my car. So yeah, Abby Normal. Yeah, Abby Normal's on Rumble, and she just commented, hotels are already packed with refugees. Yeah. Hey, Devil Dog. But make sure you're in a safe place. If you're in Florida, hunker down, make your final preps now. Don't panic. You guys know the drill. I've made several videos on water crossings, prepping for hurricanes. There's a lot of good information. Also, the Red Cross Hurricane app will give you the locations of any shelters or food distribution centers that get set up. I would download it now while you have data, and it updates every 3 hours. So you can kind of watch, see where the shelters are and where they're moving. And remember, you can sign into a shelter just to cool off and get water and food, and then go back home. You have to sign out again. If you leave the shelter, you have to sign in and out. Frequency wave coming off Africa in a very region off the coast pushing toward us. Interesting. So, folks, I'm going to leave you with that. I'm headed to a lunch meeting, but you guys be safe. Make your preps now. Look at what mistakes were made in North Carolina and see if you can fix that ahead of time, if you can do so. But you guys be good, be safe, stay righteous out there. If you want to email me any announcements, or if you make an announcement on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and you want me to share it, tag me on it. If you can email me, that's even better. theroamingprepper@gmail.com, or you can message me on Instagram. I should get that on the Roaming Prepper channel. And I'll try and share out any updates or any requests you may have, and then you can work with those folks. Pay attention, be careful out there. Don't get hurt. Don't injure yourself during a hurricane, because that just makes things worse. If you can't get the tree off your garage, leave it. Unless someone's life is in jeopardy, don't get injured during a hurricane, because their hospitals will be full and they'll be at minimal capacity personnel wise. It's going to be tough getting care. You guys be careful out there, be safe, and we'll see y'all later this week. You guys be good.